Balaram is surprised. He finds that the affection that the cowherd men and cows are expressing towards their offspring to be wonderful, especially as it's apparently not towards Krishna. That affection for Krishna is expected, but so much affection towards others other than Krishna, that is not expected. Therefore, Balaram is surprised. Now, we can imagine that it's difficult to surprise Balaram. It's difficult for him to find something wonderful because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is all-powerful, all-pervading. He's seen everything. Just like if you go to a big city, you'll find the people there, they don't easily become surprised at anything. I remember once, as a child, I was going into London by train and I was pointing out, oh, look at this, look at that. So many, from the train window we could see so many things. But then, I think it was my father I was with you saying, don't say that, because all the people who are traveling on this train, they see these things every day. They're not surprised. When I saw some big building, some big crane, some big bridge, some big stadium, I said, oh, look at that, look at this. But those who already seen it, they're not surprised. It's not wonderful to them. In New York, apparently, the people, they have a kind of mood that doesn't matter what anyone does, they'll just treat it as normal. That I heard one description of one very tall, like 6'6", 2 meters tall, huge black guy with oil all on his skin, very strong, dressed in a tiger skin with thongs around his, you know this kind of shoes that you don't get it here, the leather, they have like straps, it comes up to your knees, and holding a big metal rod in his hand, and these hair like this, and with a big snake wrapped around his body, walking down the street in New York, and no one looked, and just walked past without, what else do you have to do to get attention? But there's people who've seen it all. Doesn't matter, seen it all. So it's amazing, it's difficult to surprise God. He must be a very bored kind of person already. Just sitting there on a cloud and people are playing a harp. I already heard that tune so many times. What is there to do? You see that kings, what do you do to entertain a king? I was reading this story, this Freedom at Midnight, this story of India, the time of Indian independence. So it described one king there, in Rajasthan. He had all these beautiful women, and he'd sit with them, and he was naked, and they were naked, and he was just sitting there completely bored, because seen it all, enjoyed it all. What am I supposed to do? Life is boring. So how are you going to entertain God? The idea is that something which is beyond your experience, or something that is greater than you or wonderful to you, that you can take some interest in. But if you've already seen everything, done everything, well, how are you going to take any interest in it? In this material world, everything after some time it becomes dull and uninteresting. But here we see that Balaram, who's seen everything, done everything, is everything, he's taking wonder. What is this wonderful thing that is going on? Here the word apurvam prema vartate, the word prema is apurvam, never seen before. How is Prabhupada? Unprecedented. apurvam, never before. Prema, vardhate, increasing. So prema here, Prabhupada is translated, is very interesting. Prabhupada is translated as affection. Generally we think the word prema means love of God, but it also means affection, love. In the ordinary sense also the word prema is used for material love or affection. There are so many Hindi movies when they, what is that? PR is the word usually used, but sometimes they use prema, just like ordinary love or affection. So here the word used is prema because Balaram was thinking this is just, it's not Krishna prema, it's just the love between the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the elderly inhabitants of Vrindavan and their offspring. So he said, I never saw such a thing. Now he'd seen love for Krishna. He'd seen the effects of love for Krishna, how the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they were so much affectionate for Krishna. And he'd seen how Krishna also being so much affectionate towards the inhabitants of Vrindavan, that there would be many wonderful things would happen that you wouldn't expect, just like Krishna sometimes being charmed with the qualities of Radharani. Sometimes he'll try to milk a bull, getting the testicles of a bull. Sometimes he'll pull out his flute and try to play it, but it's the wrong way round. Like that. So Krishna himself becomes overcome by the love of his devotees. So he's seen many wonderful things, but he hadn't seen this before. That was beyond his experience. So he's wondering what's going on. I thought I knew everything. What is this? So he's also in some kind of illusion that is arranged by Yoga Maya for his enjoyment. That there is something greater than him. There's something. How is God going to take pleasure? If he's going to take pleasure simply in this miserable material world, that is the mistake of the materialistic theists, Prakrita Bhaktas, Kanishta Adhikaris. They think that I'm a product of this material world and the only relationship I have with God is through the via medium of this material world. Therefore God, his business is to increase my material enjoyment. And when I go to heaven because I prayed to God, then I will enjoy them. In other words, their concept is materialistic, how I will enjoy. But the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they are thinking how Krishna will enjoy. And Krishna is able to enjoy with them. He's not going to enjoy here. He's not going to, just like we see that Krishna enjoys dancing. So dancing also, you'll see every Hindi movie, there's dance. You haven't seen Hindi movies. You haven't been on buses. If you go on a bus or you go in people's houses, you'll see the Hindi movie, Tamil movie, whatever it may be, Indian movie. That there must be dances. The boy and the girl, they're standing there in the middle of Bombay, and all of a sudden they're in Kashmir with an invisible orchestra in the background, and they're dancing. But Krishna, he's not going to dance with some flesh and blood, supposed beauty of this material world. We think this is something very wonderful, but Krishna, he's not going to. Why should he dance with? What is the pleasure he's going to take in some completely materially lusty young woman and in some? There's nothing enjoyable here in this material world. That's just a perverted reflection. We think it is pleasure. Why should Krishna dance here in this material world? It's just like you don't go to the stool house to dance. This material world is like the stool house. The field, there's the field, and outside the village there's a field, everyone goes to pass stools. So they don't organize the wedding reception in that field. They'll organize it in another field. It's unfit. So this material world is just like the stool house, because it's where all the rejected things, kam, krodh, lobh, moha, mada, matsaya, all the bad vibrations generated by material qualities, beginning with envy of Krishna. So Krishna is not going to come here. There's nothing relishable for Krishna. There's nothing interesting for Krishna here in this material world. There's nothing for him to take pleasure in. But the activities of the spiritual world, that is interesting to Krishna. That is something he can take pleasure in. Why? Because bhakti is more than Krishna. Something stronger than Krishna, something that can attract Krishna, is the devotion of his devotees. That is adbhutam. That is amazing. Even Krishna is surprised at how much his devotees are devoted to him. And Krishna can take pleasure in that. He can't take pleasure. Why he doesn't take pleasure in dancing with the young girl of this material world? Apart from the blood and stool body, there's also Krishna's on a higher level of consciousness. He doesn't relate with the lust and greed and envy and anger of this material world. But the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they are on the level of Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, as is Krishna. They're on the level of transcendental blissful exchanges with. They're not on the level of lust, greed, anger, illusion or any such thing. They're on the level of love of Krishna, and the love for Krishna is more than Krishna. That is, the jiva is finite, infinitesimal, as Prabhupada used to say, infinitesimal, very, very small. And Krishna is infinite. The jiva cannot be as great as God. But within his potencies, within his expanded potencies, his Shakti is in the Hladini Shakti, that is in his enjoying potency, that rests in his devotee. Radharani is particularly the receptacle or the abode of the enjoyment potency. Not that she wants to enjoy separately from Krishna, but because she gives pleasure to Krishna. The enjoyment potency is apparently outside of Krishna, because that is something for him to enjoy, as if separate. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Hladini Shakti Rasmad. The love between Radha and Krishna, that is going on by the Hladini Shakti. Ekatmana bhati bhuvi pura deha vedam gato. Krishna is one, but he apparently expands himself into many others, originally two, himself and Radha, for the sake of enjoyment. The Hladini Shakti is outside, apparently separate from Krishna. That's his enjoying, that's for him to enjoy. So apparently separate from Krishna. Chaitanyakyam prakatam adhuna tadvayam chaikyamaptam. Radha bhava dyuti suvalitam nomi Krishna swarupam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined, the enjoyer and the enjoyable. Therefore, even though he is Krishna, he is imbued with the mood and color, bodily color of Radharani, but he is Krishna. So of the two, Radha and Krishna, Krishna is apparently less powerful, Radha is more powerful. Because when they join together as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then the feelings of Radharani predominate. And although sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the mood of being the Supreme Lord, mostly he was in the mood of enjoying. He is the Supreme Lord, but not taking the position of the enjoyer, because the position of the enjoyed is more enjoyable than the enjoyer. This is a mystery. It's very high theology. But the enjoyed enjoys more than the enjoyer. So even though this separated parts and parcels of Krishna are infinite and cannot hope to partake in full of Krishna's power, knowledge, and all these potencies, as far as enjoyment is concerned, which is after all the most important thing, those who love Krishna, they get more pleasure from loving Krishna than Krishna gets from love. Krishna's pleasure in loving them is infinite. So how can you say that this is a conundrum, this is illogical, that the love of the devotees for Krishna is more than Krishna's love for them, but Krishna's love for them is infinite. So how can it be more than infinite? That's beyond logic. It's beyond the material logic, because it's on the spiritual platform, which defies material logic. Here, prema Baroda, Balaram noticed that the love for the inhabitants of Vrindavan, for their offspring, was always increasing. Or how can you say it's already unlimited? The love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan for Krishna is already unlimited, but it's always increasing. How is that possible? How can the unlimited increase? That's not measurable by any material means. It's not even measurable by any spiritual means. Because even Balaram, Ananta, one of the forms of Balaram is Ananta. Ananta, of course, Ananta is also a name for Krishna. It means unlimited. But especially this name is associated with Balaram. Just like we see here, Balaram is here addressing or referring to Krishna as Vasudeva. So Vasudeva means the son of Vasudeva. That's generally, that can also be Balaram. Balaram is also Vasudeva. He's also the son of Vasudeva. And Vasudeva also means he exists everywhere. It literally means he who shines everywhere. Vishnu. So that's also Balaram. But particularly that name is generally associated with Krishna. Here Balaram is addressing Krishna as Vasudeva. Although in Bhagavad Gita the Vasudeva mentioned, Vrishinam Vasudevosmi. Among the Vrishnis I am Vasudeva. So here Krishna is mentioning Vasudeva. That means Balaram. But generally that name is given to Krishna. So in the same way, Ananta, that is the name of the expansion of Balaram. Balaram is often called Ananta. So here's Ananta, Ananta Virya, Ananta Shakti, Ananta Guna. He has unlimited prowess, unlimited potencies, unlimited qualities. He's unlimited in all ways. But even he cannot reach the end of describing the glories of Krishna. So even by spiritual means, what to speak of material means, we cannot understand God. But then even by spiritual means, we can't understand God fully. We're just trying to understand, discussing the pastimes of Krishna. But actually the discussion is there. We'll find, especially in the writings of the Goswamis, they have analyzed when we say the Goswamis, that generally means the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They have analyzed, especially Rupa Goswami has analyzed what is the prema vaichitra, the wonderful manifestations of love of God, and he's analyzed in a very scientific way in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what are the different rasas of the pure devotees, how they're expressed, what are the different uparasas, the subordinate rasas, and he's explained that even more in the Ujjvala Nilamani, one book, that's the name of Krishna, Ujjvala Nilamani, who's just like a resplendent blue jewel. That's a very nice name of Krishna. It's the name of a book by Rupa Goswami, which it's like a sequel to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which describes in more detail the the loving exchanges in a very scientific way, trying to analyze. But so that can be explained to some extent. Can be explained. What are the? You see this here. This is a manifestation of the conjugal love of God. This is a manifestation of the parental love of God. This is a manifestation of friendship mixed with parental feelings. So it can be analyzed in such a way, but it cannot be fully understood. Because it's unlimited. Krishna is unlimited. Cannot be fully understood. Nevertheless, we're reading, discussing, because by reading and discussing, that also we hope that prema vartate, our affection will also increase. That we want. That if there's any affection for Krishna, which we hope there's some, at least somewhere, that can increase. By hearing about the great devotees, how they're loving Krishna, then also our love for Krishna should increase, or our affection for Krishna should increase. That is desire. That's the essence, that's the whole purpose of the Krishna conscious movement. Krishna conscious movement has so many activities. Building temples, distributing books, distributing prasadam, so many activities. But it's all meant for this purpose. Prema Varta, love for Krishna will increase. That everyone's love for Krishna will increase. That people are taking prasadam. Why? Why are we distributing prasadam? So that people's increase. We build temples, so people will come and their love for, they'll see Krishna, hear about Krishna. Their love for Krishna will increase. We're never going to catch up with the inhabitants of Vrindavan, because they're already well ahead of us. And their love is increasing all the time. But we can come to that platform by their grace. We can come to that platform. What is that platform? Love of Godhead without any obstruction. That means to come to the unlimited platform. So we say their love for Krishna is unlimited. So we can also, we're meant for that platform, to come to the platform of unlimited love for God. Unlimited. What is the limit? The limit is our personal desire. The limit is our lack of desire to serve Krishna. So when that is gone, when there's any desire other than to fully give ourselves to Krishna, then there's no limit. And it's unlimited. There's no obstruction. Then there's only love for Krishna. So that's unlimited. So we can come to the same platform as the inhabitants of Vrindavan. That is the whole purpose of practicing Krishna consciousness. We can come to the same platform. Of course, on the same platform, that means unlimited platform, but their unlimitedness is unlimitedly more than our unlimitedness. That doesn't make sense. If you study mathematics, even just plain logic, it doesn't make sense. But then Krishna, he doesn't make sense. He doesn't have to make sense. This is sense. Well, our concepts of sense, our concept of being sensible is to put on a suit and tie and carry a briefcase and work a concept of sense. The Krishna's concept of sense is adbhuta, wonderful, unprecedented. Everything is always fresh and ever new. You never know what's going to happen in the spiritual world. There's always some wonderful, wonderful expression of past and wonderful activities of love of God. In so many ways the Yoga Maya Shakti is arranging the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. So that is going on, the pastimes are going on. The pastimes, there are different activities by which the devotees express their unlimited love for Krishna. And the Yoga Maya that's also working, you see here Yoga Maya is working, that even Balaram couldn't understand, although he just, you'll find in the next verse, he's just beginning to understand, how is it, what's going on? This must be Krishna. No one can bewilder me, only Krishna. If anyone can bewilder me, it's only Krishna. Otherwise, I'm unlimited. It's only Krishna, who's more unlimited than me. Krishna and Balaram are non-different. They're both the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still Krishna is more than Balaram. So, Balaram could understand, but he was bewildered by the Yoga Maya potency, which arranges for all these wonderful activities to go on. Another thing Yoga Maya does is arrange it, that even though the devotees are feeling such ecstatic love for Krishna, that she allows them to tolerate that love of Krishna. Otherwise, normally, you see, in a material body, too much love for Krishna, you can't hold it. Just like if someone has a shock, they may die of shock, and they get a heart attack, and too much emotion. That's why people with heart problem, they're told you should have a very peaceful life, not too much emotion. How are you going to tell a devotee that? No more kirtan, no more reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes that happens. That's described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sometimes one of the symptoms of love of God is death. Sometimes devotees, they simply leave their body in ecstasy. That happened with Gaur Govinda Maharaj. He was in Mayapur. He was described pastimes of Krishna, and he just became overwhelmed with ecstasy and left his body. So that's one of the arrangements of Yoga Maya, that she, even though the love of Krishna is unlimited, she also arranges that by her arrangement, the devotees, they can tolerate, they can live with that. Otherwise, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't, just thinking of Krishna, the devotee, they couldn't even, if they should be stunned in ecstasy. They can't move, they can't do anything. But she arranges that, alright, thinking of Krishna, alright, you have to get up and go to Krishna. She arranges that they can go on with their activities. Otherwise, the spiritual world, everyone would just be simply flat, collapsed on the ground. Just thinking of, just like you see that Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he simply heard the verse sung by Mukunda Datta. How merciful is Krishna. And then immediately he became wild in ecstasy. And then all his servants, they tried to restrain him. And then he quieted down for a little time. Then again he became completely ecstatic and fell on the ground and collapsed. Then they revived him a little bit, and then again collapsed, and then running around and overwhelmed with ecstasy. So that is especially in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees are experiencing such ecstasy that they lose control of their bodily functions. And that happens also in Vrindavan Leela, but not so much, at least when Krishna is present. After Krishna apparently leaves Vrindavan, then the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they become just like dolls. They're just stunned, they can't move. But otherwise, how would the pastimes go on? If all the cows and calves and the inhabitants, they're all permanently stunned, then there'll be no activities, so no pastimes. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, that's especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's described as the last part of his appearance, his pastimes in this world. Especially at night time, he was with Rai Ramananda and Sruta Damodar, simply enjoying hearing about Krishna, which is as good or better than being with Krishna, and experiencing the ecstasy of the inhabitants of Vrindavan after Krishna had left. So his bodily transformations there, here the word is given apurva, unprecedented, so also unprecedented. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was enjoying. He couldn't do anything. He was simply absorbed in his internal consciousness. Of course, in the modern age, we see that Prabhupada, he came, he preached Krishna consciousness all over the world. He didn't manifest externally any such symptoms. Occasionally he would. Occasionally he would become stunned in ecstasy. But generally even when such symptoms are there, he would try to gain control of himself and not be stunned. He didn't want to show them. Because he had work to do. One thing, he had to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Another thing, others, by seeing that, they may imitate. So Prabhupada expressed his ecstasy of love of Krishna by preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. His ecstasy was shouting at the atheists. That was his expression of ecstasy. Not only shouting, that also wasn't so often, but his constant endeavor in devotional service. Always active, how to bring Krishna consciousness. Sochetato vimukha cetasa indriyatam maya sukhaya baramudvato vimurhan. In the mood of Prahlad Maharaj, who was feeling unhappy, seeing all these fools and rascals simply working hard, absorbed in the illusory energy of Krishna and suffering thus. Naivod vijay paraduyataya vaitaranyas tvad gayana mahamrita magna chittam. Prahlad Maharaj personally he was absorbed in the ecstasy of loving Krishna. Wherever he went, whatever he did, he was ecstatic simply in remembering Krishna. But his unhappiness was seeing the unhappiness of others, not remembering Krishna. So Prabhupada was very much in that mood, and his expression of ecstasy was working hard for Krishna, day and night, literally, to spread Krishna consciousness. And he invited us all to join him in that ecstasy. He did not imitate it, that we will imitate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but that we will serve Krishna as he wants. Krishna has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was enjoying the ecstasy of remembering Krishna. He was also enjoying the ecstasy of giving Krishna to others, and his order to others was Jare Dekho Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh Amar Agya Guru Hoya Tara Edesh. Wherever you go, wherever you meet, instruct them in the science of Krishna. In this way become a guru and deliver the land. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants. This is pleasing to him. And those who do that, they will be blessed by the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kabunabadi Baitomai Egrishoy Taranga Punarapi Eitai Pabe Morashanga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you do like this, if you preach like this, then you will not be affected by the waves of material life, but you will, without having to imitate me, or try to live like me, or try to live with me directly, I will be with you, he said. The Kurma Brahmana, he wanted to go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you stay here and preach, and I will be with you. You don't have to come to me, I will be with you. So that is the ecstasy of a devotee in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he understood this, and others they didn't understand. They thought that to be follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you simply have to, this smarana is especially promoted by the Babajis, that you remember the pastimes of Krishna. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wasn't against that, but he said first you have to become purified by kirtan, by preaching. What is that he said? That by preaching, tabe nirjan Nirjan bhajan sambhav. What is that? Kirtan prabhave smarana hoibe takana nirjana sambhav. He decried the attempt to simply go directly to Krishna simply by sitting and chanting. Dushtaman tumi kishe Vaishnav. Pratishta tare nirjana ghare toma harinam keval kaitam. He said that, my dear mind, what kind of a rascal are you? You simply want to hide away somewhere on your own and chant, but you're simply interested in name, fame and honor. Tava pratishta shukare bishta. He said that it's your so-called harinam is only cheating, and this desire for name and fame which will not leave you is just like the stool of a pig. He compared the attempts of the imitated Babajis to just like smearing themselves with the stool of a pig, which is, it's difficult to think of anything more horrible. He said that, echoing the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, understanding the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so you have to do kirtan, you have to preach to others. Then by kirtan prabhave, by the power of kirtan, smarana hoibai, by this method, remembrance of Krishna will come. Takana nirjana sambhav. Then it's possible to practice like this. In the neophyte stage, it's not possible. We see now there are many people who have come to Krishna consciousness through the preaching efforts of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. But now they want to become rasik bhaktas, which is good, it's nice, we should be rasik bhaktas. That means enjoying the rasa of love of Krishna, but they want to do by what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has exposed as an artificial method. That you can't just jump into the Rasa Leela, do a long jump, practice the long jump, and or get a pole and do a pole vault into the Rasa Leela. You can't do that. There's no way. You think that, yes, chant, Hare Nama Evakir, chant. Yes, chanting is our sadhana, chanting is our bhajan. But there is a method also to enter, that is by the mercy of the devotees, and the mercy comes by giving that mercy to others. And this was revealed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Others haven't actually understood. And we should also, now we're reading the pastimes of Krishna, which are, well, we can discuss, but how much can we understand? And Prabhupada, he said, the Krishna book you just read and enjoy. You don't ask so many questions. Why this, why that? That's Krishna's intimate leela. How can we understand? That is aprakrita, that is beyond ang manasa gochara, that is beyond the power of our mind, body, words. It's beyond our ability to understand. If you want to analytically understand, we can't understand. By the empiric method of analysis, we can't understand Krishna's pastimes. It will be a failure. That can be understood by the Paramahamsas. Yasmin Paramahamsam ekalam amalam jnanam param giyate. This knowledge in Srimad Bhagavatam is especially meant for the Paramahamsas. They can understand this. It's called the Paramahamsa Samhita. So that's all. Srimad Bhagavatam is also for those who aspire to be Paramahamsas, but there's no use to artificially label, put a tung, or wear a t-shirt. I am a Paramahamsa. Sometimes we see people there wearing these t-shirts. I love Krishna. They're very fortunate. Because the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they never said, I love Krishna. They said, I'm aspiring to love Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't have any love for Krishna. But they're already on such a platform. I love Krishna. So, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did love Krishna. But the nature of love of God is that you think that Krishna is so wonderful, and if I really loved him, then why do I only love him this much? That's not love at all. It's only, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, it's just a pretense. It's just, my so-called love for Krishna is just a pretense. So, on our platform, what is that? Love for Krishna. Yes, love for Krishna. Our so-called love for Krishna. But then we also find that What is that? Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Kanaka Kamini. You're still attached to money and women. This Prabhupada said also. That day we were going in 1976, Vrindavan festival. We were going. Think you can sit at Radha Kund and chant Hare Krishna. He said, if you do, you'll simply think of women and money. Kanaka Kamini. Kanak means gold. Kamini means women. Especially, this word refers to the propensity or the nature of women to invoke lust within the heart. So, Prabhupada said, if you think, you'll simply think of women and money and go to hell. There are so many monkeys already there at Radha Kund. You don't become another one. So that we see that people, they talk big talk, prema rasa, so many things. But mostly those who don't have a realistic approach to Krishna consciousness, artificially they will jump into the prema rasa. What actually happens is that artificially they jump into a vagina. That's what happens with their sakis. There's so many Bengali widows at Radha Kund. Their husbands died young or whatever. So there's so many Babajis there to enjoy them also. Even there's one famous Babaji, very learned, has written so many books. But it's also famous that he's also had his fall downs. So artificially, there's no use. It won't work. It's not the process to try to artificially, gate crash into Krishna's Leela. One has to be very humble and serve as Krishna wants us to serve. Follow Krishna's service. And in due course of time, becomes purified by preaching, by kirtan. Then Krishna will certainly bestow. Krishna and his devotees will certainly give that gift of love. Krishna, they want to give that. But we have to become properly qualified for that. That means our affection for Krishna has to increase to the point where you have no more material affection. Then it is possible. Otherwise, imitating this love of God, that is not appreciated. It's just like the Paundraka. He was imitating Krishna. He's a rascal. So anyone who also imitates love of Krishna, the same way, they're also rascals. Hare Krishna. Is there any question? You have to speak more loudly, please. I don't know if I'm losing my hearing or if you're just not talking loud enough, but I can't hear you.
Sometimes after reading or after hearing, we get inspired, or sometimes our tendency to...
Please speak from your chest and speak loudly, and loudly enough so I can hear.
Sometimes we read the books or we hear from the devotees and we get inspired, but sometimes without our knowledge, our tendency to imitate arises. So how can we identify whether we are imitating or we are...
How can we identify if we're imitating or if we're sincere? Is that it? Well, if we're sincere, then we'll know. If we're sincere, we won't imitate. And if we're imitating, we won't know because we'll think we're sincere. So the real thing is to actually desire to please Krishna. Is this pleasing to Krishna? The test is when one has no more material desires. So on the way there is gradual development. Pushti, tushti, kshuddhapaya anugasam. Just like when eating, you feel tastes very nice. It's filling the belly, getting some strength from it. So in the same way, if we're practicing Krishna consciousness, then we should feel, yes, it feels very nice, feeling satisfied, we're getting some strength from practicing. So that we can see also that if we want to cheat ourselves, then what to do? We'll find out in due course of time. whether we're going to Krishna or going to Yamaraj. If we're not sure, and we're actually not sincere, then we may think I'm going to Krishna, but we'll end up in a different place.
During Lord Chaitanya's lifetime,
we don't usually say lifetime, we say manifested presence, which is, it sounds a little bombastic, but actually that's the Prakat Lila, it's translated from this Sanskrit, manifest pastimes. Because if you say lifetime, that gives the idea that now he's dead. So, yeah, well, it's just a matter of etiquette, that's all.
The nine processes of devotional service were distinct, or because the chanting of the Mahamantra was propagated.
The chanting of the Mahamantra was propagated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yes.
So the rest method of devotional service, they were,
well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he promoted Haram Nama Eva Kevalam, the holy name is all in all and the only way, but he also promoted and practiced the other processes of devotional service. Holy name, everything has to be deity worship, whatever it may be, that all has to be accompanied with the holy name. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also taught, he also went for darshan. He also spoke of the 9 processes of devotional service. When he was describing 64 processes of devotional service, then he was describing that to Sanatana Goswami. Then he said, Tar madde bhajane madde shreshta nava vidha bhakti. He said that among all these processes, the 9 processes, these are the best. Bhajane madde shreshta nava vidha bhakti, Krishna prem, Krishna dite dhare mahashakti. Because they have tremendous ability to give us Krishna and love of Krishna. But then again he said, Tar madhe sarva shreshta nama sankirtan. But of all these processes, the best of all is chanting the names of Krishna. Because niraparadhinam loile pai premadhan. If one chants without offenses, then he can get love of Krishna very easily. If we chant without offenses. So the other process is that they're also there to help us to become Krishna conscious and to help us to become free from offenses also. Hearing, we have to hear to get the proper attitude, otherwise we may be chanting, but we may be chanting with offenses. So hearing helps us to develop the proper attitude by which we can chant the holy names of Krishna without offense. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was propagating the chanting of the holy names and all the processes of devotional service. If one is very advanced, then he can only chant and everything will be complete. But mostly people are not on that platform. Prabhupada said, if you want, you can just chant Hare Krishna. You don't have to do anything else. You can come, we'll support you. You live in our temples, you just chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna and you can take prasad and we'll give you a room, but don't sleep. Don't sleep means don't sleep excessively. You can sleep something, but if you actually have that taste to chant Hare Krishna all day and night, Prabhupada said, we'll support you, you come and live. But generally we see devotees, if they think of doing that, then they become excessively sleepy. I remember one of my godbrothers many years ago when I was still living in London, before I came to stay in India. One of my godbrothers, very good, serious, sincere devotee, but he'd been under a lot of pressure from management service for many, many months, and he really wanted and needed a break from more hearing and chanting. It was very difficult for him because he was so much involved in so many management things. It was all on his head, all the accounts and finances of the whole British Yatra, plus so many other things. So then the town president there in Bhaktivedanta Manor made some arrangement by which, now, alright, you have a break, all you have to do is hear and chant about Krishna, nothing else. So he did. First day, he was there, chanting extra rounds, reading all day. Second day, he was there, chanting, reading. Third day, started to sleep more. You know, he was a very serious devotee, very sincere devotee. Though he very much wanted to read and chant more, but it wasn't that he had so much taste to just hear and chant all day, unlimitedly. So he found that out. So after 3 days, he said, all right, now I should do some more. I should do some service also. In other words, the balance is needed. We have to do service, we have to hear and chant. We need to. But all these activities, they're meant to increase our taste for the holy name. Once in one letter, although Prabhupada was pushing the Krishna consciousness movement, you have to go out, you have to preach, you have to do this, you have to do that, spread Krishna consciousness. Our temples are meant as bases by which we go out and distribute millions of books. On another occasion, Prabhupada said that actually all these things are just to give you some engagement, just so you have some service, just so that you can develop your love for Krishna. In one letter, Prabhupada wrote that we don't actually need all these projects and so many things. He said that just, he said to, I think it was written to Tejas, he said that you don't become overburdened. You just do whatever you can. You do what you can for Krishna. Don't become overburdened. But don't take so many services that you don't have time for hearing and chanting. That's the main thing. Even in Bombay, there's so much to do to develop the Radha Rasbihari Mandir. There was a Radha Rasbihari for several years were living in a tin shed, this corrugated iron roof with just some poles holding it up. So there was so much work to do to develop, so much money was required to bring, so much legal struggle. But still Prabhupada was telling the devotees, you have to be back by 5 p.m. in Juhu. And it's 1 hour to go downtown. You have to be back by 5 p.m. for hearing and chanting about Krishna, dancing. Otherwise you'll just become like karmis, he said. And he told the devotees, they come back after another day, you spend all day trying to meet someone and you can't meet him, or you meet him and he's not interested, and that was your whole day. You come back and squashed up in the local train in Bombay, you come back and eat anything or you come back and Prabhupada saying, you have to dance in Kirtan. Why are you not dancing in Kirtan? Dance. Another time there in Mayapur, Prabhupada was sitting in his room and he told his secretary, call all the GBCs. Oh, Prabhupada's calling all the GBCs. Must be, Prabhupada didn't do that very often. Must be something very, very important. What is Prabhupada calling all the GBCs? What's it? Someone did something really wrong, or Prabhupada's going to reveal some plan for spreading Krishna consciousness. So they all came in the room and they were sitting, and Prabhupada just leaning back and wondering why Prabhupada has called us, and waiting. Prabhupada said, can you hear that? A 24-hour kirtan was going on. I said, can you hear the devotees chanting Hare Krishna? This is wonderful. Prabhupada just wanted to share with them how much he was appreciating hearing the devotees chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, in future we shall have 500 men at a time in Mayapur. We'll take it in shifts. We'll send devotees from all over the world. They'll come and they'll do shifts of chanting Hare Krishna. That's all. They'll come and chant Hare Krishna. That's all. Prabhupada, why was he so successful in spreading the holy name all over the world? Because he had complete faith in the holy name. Complete faith. That I was just telling that yesterday, Prabhupada, he told that, why did the sannyasis want so many facilities and special food and honor and so many things? So that's all sannyasis, they're supposed to have, but if they want all that, that's simply sex desire. So then Bhakti Charu Maharaj asked Prabhupada, should we stop all these things then? Prabhupada said, no. Let them go on chanting Hare Krishna. They'll become purified. Prabhupada had such faith in the holy names. See, generally Vaishnavas, they're very strict about what they eat. They don't eat from non-devotees. Prabhupada went to the West, and then he was among all the hippies, and after some time he trained up Bhakta Keith, Kirtanananda, Kichanananda, he called him, trained him how to cook. And Prabhupada was sitting there with all the hippies, and they'd cooked it, and Prabhupada was eating. No, I mean, even now you see some of these Gaudiya Math people, because they're born in Brahmin families, and they have their Western disciples, which they've extracted from ISKCON, but they won't eat anything cooked by them. Because they're thinking, they're just, they'll give them initiation, and they're supposed to be giving them prem bhav and all these things, but they won't eat anything cooked by them. Because they're thinking they're still mlechas, but Prabhupada didn't think like that. Prabhupada had faith that they're chanting the holy names, and according to Shastra, they are now more purified than any so-called Brahman. Prabhupada had that faith because he had that faith. He was able to spread the holy names of Krishna because he had great faith that the name of Krishna would purify them. That Prabhupada wrote in his poem when he came to America, how am I going to save all these... Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, my guru, sent me here to preach, but all these people are completely covered by the lower modes of nature. But he said that by the power of the holy name, they will become purified. He had that faith. No one else could go to America and preach for various reasons. One reason is, there are various reasons. One reason is because they couldn't tolerate to live among such mlechas. So many, just the fact that they had to live in the same area as mlechas, for a staid Paka Brahmin, it'd be very difficult. All their rules and regulations, they have to compromise. Prabhupada was keeping his boga in the fridge with the cat food, meat. So that's one. And then even to tolerate all the wild, crazy, and completely uncultured Western people, you don't get the respect of a sadhu in the West because they don't know what a sadhu is. Of course, Prabhupada, he was so naturally respectable that even the bums in New York respected him. They understood he's someone who should be respected. But intrinsically people don't respect. Then another reason Prabhupada said that why only I was successful, because only I had full faith in the word of my spiritual master. And what was that word? To spread the holy names of Krishna. Prabhupada had full faith in the names of Krishna, that these people can become purified. Even one of the prominent Gaudiya Math gurus who's taking away so many people from ISKCON, for many years he used to say that don't go near those Bhaktivedanta Swami, his Western form, they're all mlechas. But Prabhupada didn't see them as mlechas, he saw them as brahmanas. He gave them Brahmins because he knew they're chanting Hare Krishna, therefore they're purified. He accepted that, and then he had faith in the holy name. The holy names will purify. Prabhupada, he did amazing things. Who could dare to install the deities of Radha Krishna among the mlechas of Australia or anywhere in the Western world? He just installed them and went away. Prabhupada could see that these devotees, they're not at all trained, they don't know anything. But he prayed to Krishna, you look after them. He had faith that because they're chanting Hare Krishna, that Krishna will reciprocate with them. Krishna will help them, especially because Prabhupada asked them to ask Krishna to help. So Prabhupada had complete faith in the holy names of Krishna. The name will act if we chant. We have to chant. Prabhupada was upset when he found in Los Angeles that some of the devotees weren't chanting Hare Krishna, they had too much service, because sometimes Prabhupada would say service and chanting is the same. That's true, in one sense, but in another sense, it's not that you just do service all day, you don't chant Hare Krishna, then you'll fall down. That is already fallen down. You have to chant your 16 rounds. Any other question?
While chanting, we are praying Krishna to give love for Krishna, so that we can always be loving service. So while spiritual world, Radharani is also chanting.
While we're chanting, the question is, while we're chanting, we're praying to Krishna for love of Krishna so that we can serve Krishna. Actually, it's round the other way. We're chanting, asking for service so that we can love Krishna. It's not that we'll wait. First of all, I'll wait, and then when I get love for Krishna, then I'll do some service. It's just like sometimes you see people are chanting and you see there's some garbage sitting next to them and say, why don't you pick up the garbage? Oh, I'm chanting. And there's garbage and Krishna, someone has dropped some, you see sometimes they drop some chocolate packet or something, or chocolate packet in the temple, and we're sitting, I'm chanting. And then right in the temple in front of Krishna there's some garbage. And then, why don't you pick it up? I'm chanting. And what are you chanting for? For service to Krishna. And there's some immediate service has to be done, you're not doing. You're too busy chanting. And you're thinking, I'm on a higher platform, but that means that there's no love for Krishna. It means you don't actually want service. So service is love. And love will be expressed as service. Whereas Radharani chanting, there's no question of Radharani not chanting. Obviously, kirtan means that love of Krishna. The devotees, they can't stop chanting. Out of love for Krishna, they chant. And they're also praying for service. You think love means no service? Therefore, why is Radharani chanting? She's also praying, I want service. Because that service is love. Love is not simply some fuzzy feeling. Love means service. Radharani is praying for service to Krishna.